Yo, what up? All right. We got another one from CMTOWN and Clangers TV, and this is Gravity. Gravity. Yeah, like the movie. I liked Gravity. Sandra Bullock. You know what I'm saying? Gets trapped in space, and I think that it's probably a whole bunch of holes you can poke into it. Being an outer space movie, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, I enjoyed it. Sandra Bullock, Gravity. Who else was in that movie? Wasn't it I forgot something. Who else was in that movie? It wasn't George Clooney. Who else is in the Gravity? I don't know. But let's check out what Nick and the boys got to say about it. Let's go.
Ageless beauty.
Come on, please. The only time you see me is when I do press junkets. Do you know how many hours of hair and makeup this took?
I don't know.
Sandra Bullock's oldish, like she's what, in her mid 50s? So like, and
Probably
it's like
older.
her and fucking
Older.
She got
that
that
space movie.
Yeah.
Ooh, homegirl was fine.
Oh,
dude.
in where they're floating.
Yeah.
Gravity.
Gravity.
That movie sucks, dude.
She was looking good as
The
hell. girl.
opening sequence is really cool.
Gravity is the dumbest movie I've ever seen.
It was
in my life.
fine.
It
George
was fun
Clooney,
to
yeah.
watch,
George
but like I
Clooney.
love that
I'd never
it
watch
opens
it
up
again.
with Sandra Bullock doing some kind of shit on a fucking space station.
Right, and she's
And then-
scared to be in space.
Well, George Clooney floats up to her. He's like, "So what are you doing up here?"
How long was your training?
6 months.
Including holidays?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Including
the
holidays.
scanning system.
Like,
Yeah.
he's essentially asked her like, "What's your mission?" or whatever, and she, it's exposition. She has to explain it to him or whatever. But like, he would know.
of course.
There's no
Also,
way.
she's-
There's no way you wouldn't know what your coworker in space.
Wait, I thought he was doing like a charming bit.
So, Doc, now that you work for NASA, how do you like us?
Like, oh, like fancy seeing you here.
That's
Yeah.
not how I interpret.
Oh no, I thought it was like, oh, there's only
You
two
have to
people
understand, as
in
a
the vacuum
spectrum
of space.
observer of,
No, yeah.
but
he was trying to be charming.
No. There was a lot.
Here's
of-
another thing that makes that movie fucking stupid. Is the whole time she's this like morose dickhead who's like, I just couldn't really do anything with my life since my daughter died. I've been completely immobile.
I wake up, I go to work, and I just drive.
It's like, what do you mean you couldn't do anything besides
Be an
become an
astronaut,
astronaut?
Right. Also, she's like scared. She was just a doctor, right?
Yeah. She
And then
was
they
like a-
put her in space.
she was like a teacher or
The people that
something.
want to go to space, fucking their whole lives are trying to go. Their dicks are so hard for space. No one is like,
Oh yeah.
it's like that fucking what was Armageddon, the Ben Affleck.
Oh, yeah.
And the
I'm
oil
Armageddon
riggers.
some pussy. That's
dude.
No, we watched that clip last
Wait,
night.
hold on. What accent does that make sense in?
Armageddon.
Armageddon some pussy. Cajun. Yeah.
Armageddon some pussy.
Armageddon some pussy.
Armageddon.
Armageddon.
Man, I kind of wish I wish I was Cajun.
I enjoyed it. From what I can remember, it was an enjoyable space movie, and of course you can poke holes in it. I'm sure Nick can. There's a lot more holes Nick can poke into it. Pretty much all like the space movies you can like Armageddon. I mean, you hire oil riggers to go to be astronauts. Wouldn't it be easier to train astronauts to do oil rigging? You're saying it's easier to turn a oil rigger into an astronaut than it is an astronaut into an oil rig. So there's a lot of stuff, in them space movies. You know what I'm saying? You go back to like Mission to Mars. I love Mission to Mars, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that you probably could be like, yeah, that's not realistic. But it's how realistic can it be when you're talking about space movies? Unless we're only on the ISS or you know what I'm saying? You talk about going to different planets and stuff. You gotta have a little bit of an imagination. But Yeah, Sandra Bullock. Yeah, she's probably like 60 in her 60s. Sandra Bullock has been around a minute, right? Like since she's been like acting since like the 80s and shit. You know, when did Speed come out? When did the first Speed come out with Keanu Reeves? Keanu Reeves is in his 60s. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I would imagine Sandra Bullock is in her 60s. She don't look it. I don't think she looks. She don't look like she in her 60s. But you know, that's probably a lot of CGI in that movie. Like the scene with George Clooney and Sandra Bullock, I think that's just their face. I think that's somebody else's body. They CGI'd their face onto there. So I mean, you know, we may not be seeing the real Sandra Bullock, at least in the movies. But yeah, you know, Gravity. I enjoyed it. You know, of course, I know some others may not have.